The area that's been hardest hit is a critical agricultural area in the interior of BC. Concern for farmers, farms, and animal welfare is very urgent and very real. There are thousands of farm animals. They've already died. Farmers are battling brutal flood conditions to save their livestock. Hundreds of farms may be destroyed. They've been affected by flooding. They're underwater. And those that are dry are cut off from essential resources. So what are the lasting impacts of these floods on this absolutely critical agricultural sector? Let's bring in BC's Agricultural Minister, Lana Popham, right now. Minister, thank you. And I know this is a terribly difficult time. Give me a sense of the challenges this region is facing and farmers and the agriculture community is facing.
Sure. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity today. It's a very, very difficult time for sure. The challenges that we're facing, we still don't quite understand what that's going to look like because the disaster, especially in the Fraser Valley, is still unfolding. So we have waters that are rising again in some areas of that valley. And so we still have farmers in crisis, farmers trying to save their livestock. So we have seen over the last few days that hundreds of farms have been affected. Some have been absolutely submerged. Some have been lucky enough to stay dry, but unfortunately they're islands in the middle of this lake now. So they've been cut off from water and from feed routes to feed their livestock. So we've really been trying to assess the situation, identify through working with our farmer organizations who has the biggest need, and which emergency is a priority. We know that there's been thousands of livestock that have perished already, but right now, probably the biggest priority is getting water into dairy and poultry, and then of course next is feed. So we've seen some local government water supply get turned back on today. We're hoping that might take care of some of the problem. But we are standing ready with another plan, which is to airdrop some feed and possibly water into the areas that are isolated.
Do we have any idea the numbers of livestock, of animals that have died?
We're estimating that it's thousands, but we don't have an accurate number. It's really difficult to tell. I can tell you that in the middle of the disaster, we're seeing some very heroic moments by farmers in the Chilliwack area, which is more north in the valley. All dairy farmers got their cattle liners set up, and they went around and picked cattle up out of dairies that they were able to get to. And I just got word just a couple hours ago that one dairy all the dairy cows in one dairy were saved and placed into buddy dairies. And so we're seeing stuff like that all over the place. We know that there's a young woman by the name of Caitlin. She's only 15. She's riding around with her mom, who runs a dairy in Abbotsford, and they're going around and picking up cattle and dairy that are kind of loose and bringing them back to their dairy that's dry. So we are seeing these remarkable acts of heroism in the middle of a disaster that's still unfolding.
Minister, are these farmers covered by insurance for this kind of event? Is this the kind of thing they could lose their farm, their land soaked, they could lose livestock? What's the insurance issue here? Are farmers insured for this, or are they going to be looking to you, your government, and the federal government for support?
Well, we do have agriculture insurance programs built into our ministry, and a lot of farmers subscribe to that, and that will cover off some of the damage. But we do have a disaster relief fund that will sort of catch the folks that weren't signed up for that type of insurance, and so that normally hasn't been open to farming operations, but it will be now. I've had already quite a few conversations with the federal minister, who has pledged her support to help us. So I can be quite confident in knowing that between ourselves, the government of British Columbia, and the federal government, we will get these farmers back on their feet.
Last question. There had been concern that some of these farmers were not given enough warning when the first wave of extreme weather came. Were they?
Well, I think that, this is an unprecedented event. I was in contact with farmers on Sunday night, checking in with them, and they said that, the rain was heavy, but it wasn't at a point where people were worried. By Monday, things had changed. And so, of course, everybody would have loved more warning, but the information that was there, we just didn't see it coming.
Minister, good luck. It's going to be a long cleanup and rescue and recovery operation. Agriculture Minister for British Columbia, Lana Popham. Thank you, Minister. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.